singer, guitarist slash keyboardist.
And I'm Ian. I play bass.
I'm Ian. Hello, guys. Thank you guys so much for being a part of Behind the Birk video sessions. So I like to start off with like your childhoods, if you don't mind.
Oh wow, go way back.
Yeah, we're going back and then we're going to the future. So it's gonna be a whole thing. So like, when did you guys know that you wanted to be musicians? Like childhood or later on?
Yeah. I'd say I was pretty young. I think I was like 8. And my dad's friend played drums, and he would have these amazing like backyard parties in the summer, and I was just like, and they would play like classic rock.
Oh,
And
that's
I'd
cool.
be like, yeah, that's cool. And so originally I wanted to be a drummer. But later that just changed.
Cool. Where did you grow up?
Where?
Where? Yeah.
Stockton, California,
Oh, nice.
up north.
That's cool. How about you, James?
For me, I don't know. I was always interested in music, but I didn't think it really hit me until like I was like 14 or so. I don't have as cool of a story as Ian does, but mine was more just like being a fan of music, and I was and still am a huge Radiohead fan, and I remember just like watching their live videos all the time and thinking it was really awesome. And so that's around the time when I started learning guitar, and I knew piano previously, but it was just for like, like lessons, and we would just play do, re, mi, or whatever. So that didn't really spark my interest, but as soon as I started watching other bands, I think that's really when I realized that's something that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I grew up here in Highland Park, and also in Orange County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, musical inspirations, I bet Radiohead is a really big one for you, at least. I can hear that in kind of your sound and performances.
Cool.
Who else are your inspirations or influences?
Well, I guess like when I was younger, I went from that to more, I remember like when I was, how old was I? Like maybe 16 or so, the Strokes came out, and I remember just being like completely enthralled by them, and like, if you remember at that time, it was really just a lot of like, was popular was like new metal, like Korn, or Limp Bizkit, and like that's what all the kids loved, and there's the era of like baggy pants, and then these guys came out and they were wearing like tight jeans like me, and I was just like, hey, these guys kind of like represent what I'm into.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was obsessed with them, and then that kind of led me into more like at the time like New York rock, like getting into Interpol and the Walkmen and Yeah Yeah Yeahs, bands like that.
What about you?
Yeah. Me, like, I really kind of like come from like eclectic, like a multi-faceted range of stuff. I've traditionally played like in a lot of like rock bands and electronic bands, stuff like that. But I was the youngest growing up, and like my brothers and sisters, they all had different tastes. So I just like absorbed a little bit of everything. Like my brother was into rap and like punk, and then my older sister was into like hippie stuff, like Grateful Dead. And it was just like all of it. I just like absorbed all of it, And but now I just really just enjoy like taking music and making it, making it.
Yeah. Cool. So when did you form as a band? Or how did that happen for you guys?
Well, the band started around, I think, 2013, just as like a recording project.
Mm-hmm.
I actually started making a lot of the songs for Ghost Pavilion while I was in another band called Spanish Prisoners in New York.
Okay.
Just kind of as like an outlet for me to write my own songs, because with my previous band, Spanish Prisoners, it was more collaborative, and I would say that it wasn't really the right fit for me to just, have one of my songs untouched by others, like in that band. Like it just wouldn't be possible. So I just had to have kind of my own outlet, and then from there I moved back to LA, left Spanish Prisoners, and then was like, why don't I just turn this into a live act? And so I started recruiting people, and since like 2014, we've had different lineups. Currently now we're a 3-piece, and Ian's been in it for a while now, so there's been different iterations of the live band, but it really just started as like a recording project.
Cool. So you have a new drummer?
Yeah, we do. Joey. He's been really good so far. We've just been rehearsing with him.
Yeah.
I think for the next show he'll make his debut. So
cool.
We're looking forward to that. He comes from like a pretty different like background as far as like sound. He comes more from like punk, and so I think he gives like a really great like new energy to our sound.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really kind of brought it into and changed the sound a little bit to where we're having fun again.
Yeah.
We're being kind of nudged in another direction. It's always like really exciting.
It's awesome. So are you writing new songs with him, or not yet? Or just the older stuff?
Yeah, not quite new stuff just yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just trying to get him kind of up to speed with the current set.
For sure.
That being said, though, it will be really interesting to try to do new stuff with him, because I think he'll help inform what directions the song takes once we record them. Because up to this point, pretty much all the recordings have been done by me, and actually my old bandmate from Spanish Prisoners, he mixes a lot of the material.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of just been me and him, like as far as the recording process, but moving forward, I'd like to incorporate more of Ian's sound and like Joey's sound, so it's actually like a band recording.
Yeah, like a collaborative.
Right.
What am I trying to say? Collaboration.
Yeah.
I guess.
Because I mean, up to this point, it's like it's pretty much just me in the bedroom. Like I'll do guitar, I'll do bass, I'll do drum. But I think I hit a point where it's like it would be much more fun and more interesting to have other people's input.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's your writing style like? That's what this kind of leads into. We talked about recording, but now let's talk about your writing style and how you like sit down and really think of ideas, and what's that whole process like for you?
For me, I usually start out like with just an idea, whether it's usually on guitar or on keys. Usually starts with just like a chord progression. And then from there I'll kind of build what I think to be a vocal melody, and sometimes I'll make that vocal melody with the guitar or with the keyboard. And then I just kind of build it from there. Then the rhythm section comes in, I have a bass part. I usually start with like drum loops, just like electronic drums, to kind of keep the time and keep the structure together. And then from there, it's kind of like making the song real in the sense that replace the electronic drums with real drums.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe redo the bass part actually through an amp rather than just in the computer, So that's kind of how it happens. It usually starts with just a small idea on keys or guitar, and then from there it's just multi-track, just putting extra tracks on the song.
Mm-hmm.
I usually do lyrics at the very end, like it's the last thing I do.
Interesting.
Because I like the song to kind of have an energy to it and help like inform the lyrics. Like I can get a vibe of the sound of a song, and it'll kind of push me in the direction of this song lyrically. Sounds to me like it should be about this, or it should be about this personal thing, or whatever it is. Yeah. And lately with the newer stuff, Ian's been actually adding a lot of ideas as far as like bass lines and
Mm-hmm.
other melodic elements. And so, like I said before, we're trying to, or I'm trying to get the other guys more involved, so
Yeah.
it's not just like me laying down all the tracks. And
That's really cool. Yeah.
And I think that, with having their input, I'm hoping that lyrically too, it'll put me in a different place, because usually when you start a song, you kind of get the vibe and you know where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like with these guys involved, I'll have an idea and then maybe it'll just go this way.
Yeah.
And then I'll have to change my mindset on like, what is this song about?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you guys have a new single out, Bleed on Sunset, right?
Yeah, it's relatively new.
New-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a new single, and I think it's one of our more kind of rockier songs. A lot of our other stuff, older stuff, was more like synth-based, and this was written on guitar with a lead guitar part. So to me, at least, it feels more like kind of more rock and roll.
Like a different genre than your other song.
Right. I mean, yeah. What do you think of Bleed on Sunset?
I think it's got everything.
It's got everything you need.
Got a little bit of everything you need.
No, I mean, yeah, it's a fun track. I think it's a little funky, and it's got this crazy Halloween chord in it that is just like, it just comes out of, I wouldn't say it comes out of nowhere, but it's a real like surprise, I think. And it's a little funky, and it's a Ghost Pavilion song. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it has that stamp on it, definitely. But yeah, the Halloween chord is I mean, this song, for whatever reason, it does have a lot of like kind of weird chords in it, and a lot of transitions. And so I think this one is a bit more experimental as far as the chord progression. It kind of takes the song to, I would say, to like kind of weird places, whereas our other stuff may be a bit more straightforward, dancey, straightforward, kind of disco beat sort of thing. I think Bleed on Sunset's definitely like more nuanced and has some weird qualities to it.
When you write with drum loops, it can be like really easy to like get the disco beat going.
Like, go wild.
You can the disco beat is always like there, and you're like, man, there it is. But this one doesn't have that, you know.
Well, yeah, I think
Something different.
I think part of it is maybe because it's a bit slower than our other stuff, but Ian's right. Like when you start with a certain drum beat or drum loop, more than you probably realize, the drums kind of tell you what to play. Especially for me, like when I'm starting a song, the drums really have a lot of input on what type of song it'll actually be.
Yeah.
So I would say that in a way Ghost Pavilion has like a lot of influence from electronic drums, because it's what the song starts off with and what it's built on.
It's hard to ignore the drums.
Yeah. I feel like if we were doing more of like a band recording, it would take us to a different place, because I'm sure like right out of the gate Joey's drumming would end up making me play something totally different than I usually do.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm kind of hoping for going forward.
Right. That was my next question. What's coming up next? But, yeah.
We plan on playing shows in the summer. Gonna do Echo Park Rising this year. Just kind of like playing local shows, and in the meantime record more new material. We have a batch of songs that we want to turn into our third EP. They're a bit older songs that I just wanted to release, and we'll have kind of like a trilogy of EPs, 3 EPs. But the more collaborative band stuff we're doing is, we intend for that to ultimately become the first full-length record. So yeah, that's kind of like where we're at right now.
Right. Cool.
I think it's important, like, we're just pushing forward, you know, and like keep making music and keep sort of an open mind, you know, with another person in the group, you know, informing, you know, our choices and stuff. I think could be cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, with this next EP we put out, like I said, I kind of want that to be like a chapter of the band, the 3 EPs. And then moving forward with the full length, ideally it being a more collaborative 3, maybe 4-person project that has input from everyone.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.